the headlines tonight, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is set to contribute to the second economic and political liberation of Africa. The Chinese celebrate New Year of the Rabbit with reunions and hope. Good evening to you all. Warm welcome to ETV News. I'm Grum Tariku. The bilateral relationship between Ethiopia and the United States of America, which has a long history, has a better chance of getting stronger and stronger. The president of Haromaya University, Jamal Yusuf, foresees the relationship between the two countries, which had been stagnant due to the war in the northern part of Ethiopia, has started to strengthen again due to the peace agreement reached in Pretoria. Johannes van Town has more on this.
The bilateral relationship between Ethiopia and the United States of America, which has a long history, has a better chance of getting stronger and stronger. The president of Haromaya University, Jamal Yusuf, foresees the relationship between the two countries has started to strengthen again due to the peace agreement reached in Pretoria. President Jamal Yusuf also says the relationship between the two countries is not imaginary but practical. For this, he raised the relationship between Haromaya University and the University of Oklahoma.
If we look back to history, the US and Ethiopia is very much attached. I don't need to cite imaginary example. I can cite practical example how Haromaya happened to be Haromaya. Haromaya was established based on partnership between U.S. and Ethiopian government under the leadership of Oklahoma State University.
The president hopes the strengthening of bilateral relations between the two countries has come to passing all the challenges encountered so far between the two countries.
I happened to be in Oklahoma 3 weeks back, and that was just after next day after the peace deal, and I could see many bright faces and support, encouragement for the step we have taken from government side. So I see very bright and promising future with U.S. partners. We are actually related with universities and the donors such as the Gates Foundation, USA Rockefeller Foundation, and others, because we have a number of projects with them. So it's a great hope and promising for me.
Amidst of the promising situations between the two, the United States has still blocked Ethiopia from the AGOA agreement, is an indication that there remains more effort to strike the equilibrium.
Senior researcher and African Affairs Director General at Foreign Affairs Institute, Dr. Zabir Farada, told ETV that GERD could contribute to the second economic and political liberation of Africa on top of creating regional integration. The critical problem of the Abai River is illogical, wrong mythical narration that needs to be replaced by scientific understanding. Tugustanesa has more on this.
Catastrophic flooding and expected earthquake, dam collapse were among the unsubstantial wrong narratives that have been released regarding the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GERD. In spite of all these unfounded narratives, it was able to fill the GERD for the third round that put no riparian country in any sort of danger in relation to construction of GERD. While talking to ETV, senior researcher and African Affairs Director General at Foreign Affairs Institute, Dr. Zabir Farada, underscored that the critical problem of the Abai River is wrong mythical narrative that needs to be replaced by scientific understanding.
So the critical problem, which is really embedded in the Nile, as I have mentioned, is the myth, and the myth has to be replaced by science, and there has to be scientific understanding, and science can reign in the Nile. And if science runs in the Nile, there has to be a move towards fraternity, and that fraternity is what I am referring to, pan-Nihilism. But that pan-Nihilism should not be a very hegemonic pan-Nihilism, as has been experienced by Egypt. Egypt was trying to bring the whole riparian states under its own umbrella, under its own flag. And this is an old project. This old project is not important, but we have to have a democratic pan-nihilism. So I think if we move towards fraternity, and if we move towards, of course, exchange of comparative advantage, if there had been an arrangement of exchange of comparative advantage, the Nile is not a problem. The Nile is a blessing.
He reiterated that the construction of GERD does not necessarily mean creating water thirst in Egypt, adding that the dam could contribute to the second economic and political liberation of Africa, on top of creating regional integration, he noted.
I am referring even the GERD could contribute to the second liberation of Africa.
Oh.
The second liberation of Africa is, of course, it goes to the economic front. And it would contribute to the industrialization of Africa, because, of course, the most important objective of the GERD is energy production. And through this energy marketing, that Ethiopia could contribute, as it has been contributing in Adwa,
Right.
for the first liberation of Africa, for the decolonization of Africa, for the political liberation of Africa. Of course, the GERD could contribute for the second liberation of Africa by heralding Africa's era towards industrialization. Yeah, what I'm referring there is the rivers could be means for the ideals of Pan-Africanism, we see, for continental integration. So we have rivers who are connecting many African states. One river is connecting 11 states in the Nile case.
Right.
The Senegal River, these all African rivers, prominent African rivers, they are connecting one state with another.
Exactly.
So they are ligaments, they are connectors of Africans. So we can design a river-led integration, continental integration.
The scholar went on saying that rather than staying fixed to colonial type of economy, construction of GERD has economic transformative impact throughout the region, creating room for regional integration.
The Ntoto Observatory Space Science Research Center is constructing a center which can show Milky Way galaxy model. The Ethiopian Space Science and Geospatial Institute has allocated over 700 million birr for the cause. The center under construction is instrumental to beef up capacities of Ethiopian scientists in the space exploration fields. The Ntoto Observatory Space Science Research Center is an astronomical observatory station located on Mount Ntoto, close to Addis Ababa.
Welcome to the land of origins. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia is pleased to serve all your traveler banking needs. If you have money from any of these 16 countries, you can convert it to local currency by visiting our nearest branch. Alternatively, our secure Forex ATMs accept cash exchange, or if you prefer using your cards, we've partnered with Visa, MasterCard, and UnionPay so that you can withdraw cash from our local ATMs or make cashless transactions at thousands of local POS partners securely and with confidence. We are linked with more than 700 global banks through our direct SWIFT address, CBE Teta. We also work with 16 international money transfer agents, out of which Tune and World Remit enable you to make direct deposits into our savings and current accounts or our popular CBE Birr mobile wallet. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, the bank you can always rely on.
Welcome back, and you are watching ETV News. The Afar Region Culture and Tourism Bureau confirmed that tourism flow, which was dwindling due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the conflict, has recorded impressive reduction in the last 6 months. Afar Region Culture and Tourism Bureau head Ahmed Abubakar told Fana Broadcasting Corporate that since tourism is dependent on peace, the flow of tourists slowed down from 2019 to the end of 2022 following the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic and the conflict in northern Ethiopia. The official said the flow of tourists, which hit rock bottom last year, has recorded a significant revival in the last 6 months. The region's main tourist destinations for visitors are Dalol, Erta-Ale, Afder Lake and Alola Bade Fell. The Ethiopian Ministry of Education says it is crucial for the education and training system to recover from the breakdown. This is geared towards the new generation to develop into a new capable global competitor based on knowledge. After holding discussions with academics on the new education and training policy draft, Minister of Education Birhanu Nagga indicated that topics included in the proposal will be effectively aligned with a future course. Kasaun Chane has more on this.
The Minister of Education, Birhanu Nagga, noted the draft policy tabled for discussion. It being subject to numerous consultations and that it addressed matters that were anticipated to result in fundamental changes in the education industry. He also noted that formulating a policy on its own would not be sufficient to address the problems with the educational system, calling all the concerned bodies to join hands for the implementation. The Minister did that by taking into consideration suggestions made in the Roadmap for Education and Training. Policy has been developed in a way that may address issues in the education sector and adhere to international standards.
Issues rose in the new education and the training policy draft may result in a profound transformation of the education industry. The proposed policy comprises topics that have been explored previously and are believed to fundamentally alter the educational landscape. Making a policy to repair the flaws in the educational system on its own won't result in any change. The policy is designed to address the issues in the education sector by taking into account the recommendations made in the education and training map. Programs, legal structures and mechanisms for policy enforcement will be developed in the future. Everyone must take part in the policy's implementation, not just the government.
Theodros Sharaga, the Executive Director of Curriculum Development for the Ministry of Education, delivered the key points of the proposed policy during the event, noting a lot has been remaining when it comes to utilizing trained labor that could be an economic resource.
The new educational and training strategy was developed as a result of research into the new educational roadmap created in 2018 and the 2010 Ethiopian fiscal year. The key points made during the event were that the serious important issues are the absence of ethics in the industry and of high-quality education throughout the whole education sector. Therefore, a variety of actions have been conducted to address these issues. The year 1986's policy foundation has its own set of issues and successes. No matter the approach, there are serious issues with it, especially when it comes to capitalizing on skilled labor that might be a resource for the economy.
Participants in a consultation forum at the event include representatives from the House of People's Representatives, the Ministry of Labor and Skills, regional education bureaus, higher education institutions, teachers' associations, the Education Advisory Council, various professional associations, and other partner institutions.
Some 60 civil society organizations, CSOs, have traveled to Mekelle, Tigray, to assess the progress on humanitarian aid delivery and reconstruction and rebuilding efforts in the region. The delegation of the CSOs are expected to discuss with peer organizations operating the Tigray region on ways of fast-tracking humanitarian assistance and reconstruction of institutions and facilities affected by the war, according to Ethiopian Civil Society Organizations Council, ECSOC. The trip organized by ECSOC will also explore ways to speed up humanitarian aid delivery and rehabilitation efforts in war-affected areas in northern part of the country. Over 100 anchor companies from 33 countries have come together to display their products and services in the 4th International Trade Exhibition in Addis Ababa. The International Trade Exhibition has kicked off here in Addis Ababa today. Habtam Washagri has more on this.
Over 100 international companies are attending in the 4th International Trade Exhibition in the metropolis today. Speaking on the occasion, State Minister for Trade and Regional Integration, Kasaun Gomfe, said the 4th International Trade Exhibition is playing paramount importance to strengthen business-to-business relations among companies. By using Ethiopia's favorable investment atmosphere, Kasaun calls upon anchor international companies to do business in Ethiopia.
In the past decade, Ethiopia, being one of the fastest growing economies in the world, is endowed with diverse agroecology and a favorable climate suitable for both agriculture and industrial production in a considerable amount to meet the national and international market requirements. I am pleased to recognize top industry professionals who are playing a key role in achieving our development agendas. In this exhibition, a focus has been given to bring together those companies and businesses working in the construction of decent housing and innovative in the various sectors.
Talking to TV English, Expo Group East African Regional Director Duncan Noeje for his part said the exhibition is important to create and expand business.
The most important for us to have this exhibition is to bring the latest technology and to advance and to bring in the low cost. Instead of people traveling out of Ethiopia, let them come and invest here, tap the market, get employment, and improve the lives of the Ethiopians.
According to Jade, the opening of the exhibition is also accelerating regional integration by fostering economic integration among African countries.
Africa is a growing market now. We want Africa to be the next frontier. Instead of you going to Europe, we have companies from Europe coming to invest in Africa. We have our young enterprises who are growing. Once they know the technology, we establish that and we have a joint venture. We're going to have what we call employment, which is going to create awareness, and we should have the latest technologies here in Africa.
Over 100 of international companies based from 33 countries are displaying their products and services for 3 consecutive days in Addis Ababa.
Revenue Minister Ainalam Nuguse has received a delegation of the International Monetary Fund, Regional Technical Assistance Center, IMF East Africa, at her office. Ainalam and the delegation led by Edina Moshi explored ways how to bolster cooperation between the government of Ethiopia and East Africa. During the discussion, the sides focused on how to help the government build its capacity of income generation and achieve its development goals in line with the ongoing reforms.
Welcome to the land of origins. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia is pleased to serve all your traveler banking needs. If you have money from any of these 16 countries, you can convert it to local currency by visiting our nearest branch. Alternatively, our secure Forex ATMs accept cash exchange, or if you prefer using your cards, we've partnered with Visa, MasterCard, and UnionPay so that you can withdraw cash from our local ATMs or make cashless transactions at thousands of local POS partners securely and with confidence. We are linked with more than 700 global banks through our direct SWIFT address, CBE Teta. We also work with 16 international money transfer agents, out of which Tune and World Remit enable you to make direct deposits into our savings and current accounts or our popular CBE Burr mobile wallet. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, the bank you can always rely on.
Welcome back. You are watching ETV News. German and French leaders pledged to strengthen EU and continue to back Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz have shown a united front after the war in Ukraine exposed diverging approaches on key issues. Shegai Mata has more from Al Jazeera and Deutsche Welle.
The friendship between France and Germany formally started exactly 60 years ago.
The Treaty on Franco-German Friendship, known as the LC Treaty, signed in 1963 by German Federal Chancellor Adenauer and France's President de Gaulle, laid the foundation of the relationship forged between France and Germany. In 2019, the 56th anniversary of the LC Treaty, the President of the French Republic and the German Federal Chancellor signed a new treaty on Franco-German cooperation and integration in Aachen. Emmanuel Macron and Olaf Scholz met in a bid to improve strained relations after a series of disagreements over defense and energy policy in the wake of the war in Ukraine that affect policymaking in the rest of the European Union. The alliance between France and Germany is often described as the engine of the European Union.
The two countries may have different approaches, but in the end, it's only when they agree that the 27 can agree. So we are in that process at the moment on different issues. One is obviously the Ukraine war and how to support Ukraine. And we've seen in recent days that Chancellor Scholz has been under a lot of criticism for his reluctance to send tanks to Ukraine.
French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz pledged to strengthen the European Union and reinvigorate a bilateral relationship that has been strained by the fallout from the Russian invasion of Ukraine and ensuring energy crisis. After an event to mark the 60th anniversary of the LC Treaty, which ushered in a new era of friendship between the two countries, the German Chancellor still no commitment that he will give Ukraine what it wants.
Recently expanded our supplies with very effective weapons that are already available today. And we've always closely coordinated all these decisions with all our important allies and friends, with France, for example, with the US, with other major countries in Europe, and of course with all those who participate in this discussion.
Emmanuel Macron says France has not ruled out sending its tanks but needs to consider three criteria.
D'une part, comme on l'a toujours fait Firstly, as we have been able to do since the beginning, that it does not escalate. Secondly, that it could bring real effective support to our Ukrainian friends. And for this, we must consider the capacity to maintain them in operational conditions and training.
Both leaders reaffirmed their commitment to support Ukraine as long as necessary.
In our final news story, after 3 years of tough coronavirus restrictions, China has celebrated the Lunar New Year with tens of millions of people traveling to their hometowns. They are also gathering in public spaces, enjoying festivities that were an annual highlight but were put on hold for the past few years due to COVID-19. Koshmal has more from Al Jazeera in TRT World.
The year 2023 in the Gregorian calendar is designated by Chinese the Year of the Rabbit. The rabbit is the fourth animal in the Chinese zodiac and represents grace, beauty, mercy and good luck. Rabbits are also associated with the moon because of the mythical jet rabbit who lives there. Chinese across the world are celebrating the Lunar New Year and beginning of the Year of Rabbit with dragon dancing, temple fairs and red lanterns. It is the first time since the beginning of the pandemic people are allowed to gather and enjoy these Chinese traditions. In Beijing, many could for hours to party at Lama Temple, the most important Buddhist sites in the capital city. It is reopened after strict coronavirus control kept it shut for 3 years.
I am really very happy. I haven't seen such a busy scene with so many people for a long time. This is the real atmosphere of the Lunar New Year.
After all the restrictions were lifted, people became more relaxed. We went through a lot of difficult times during the pandemic.
Dragon dance by the villagers is one of the most important parts to mark the Chinese Lunar Year.
One of the challenges is to make sure the bolts are secured and the segments are firmly connected, or else the dragon would come apart during the performance. Also, the dancers must stand in staggered positions. One person stands on the left side and the next one on the right, so on and so forth, in order to keep the balance.
The length and spectacles of the dragon is a testimony of the entire village.
I was amazed. The dragon extended for 100 meters. I saw plenty of young people in the group. As a young man myself, I'm proud to see our intangible cultural heritage being observed and passed on. As for my New Year wish, I was married last year, and I hope I can have a lovely baby in the year 2023. And I wish our people and nation grow ever more prosperous.
Last year, festival banquets were forbidden. Now hotels and restaurants are booked out. Others are feast at home enjoying handmade dumpling noodles. Families kept apart by years of travel bans finally been reunited.
I'm very happy to see my son and his family. This is our first reunion in 3 years.
After the reopening this year, everyone is eager to go home. After all, we haven't seen our families for so long, so we thought we'd hurry home soon. At home, we can see parents, see relatives, and then reunite as soon as possible. That's it.
Many believe that the days of coronavirus lockdowns are behind them. Experts fear coronavirus will spread as millions travel to China for the New Year, particularly in rural areas, and the government is rushing to boost resources.
We've also provided health services for key groups by offering health kits to them. So far, a total of 57.17 million packages have been distributed across the country.
The Lunar Year is the most important festival for China, celebrated after 3 years COVID restriction.
Over now to a quick reminder of the headlines. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is said to contribute to the second economic and political liberation of Africa.